Hello, and welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, where we explore a music professional's perspective on the intersection of philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and the nature of transformation. I'm so excited to have my guest, Liston Gregory III.
Hello, how you doing,
Welcome.
superstar?
How are you?
I'm feeling great. Glad to be back home.
Yeah. Where have you been recently?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I played about 43 shows in 2 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so pretty much 6 days on, 1 day off,
Oh
4
my
days,
God.
playing shows. The normal
Mm-hmm.
thing for a creative for the most part. Yeah.
Right. For a touring creative.
Yeah, for a touring creative for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And just so, people know what you do, what are you doing while you're on tour?
Well, right now, this past tour was with Black Violin. They're a hybrid classical group based out of Miami, Florida. They play a lot of the performing arts centers around the world, and I was playing piano, some auxiliary stuff, and a lot of key bass for them. So
Key bass.
yeah, so I had like a whole little spaceship type of thing going on.
Wow.
2 keyboards here, keyboard there.
Yeah.
Having a good old time, for sure.
Nice. Nice.
Never
And
a bored night, for sure.
how long have you been doing that with them?
I've been with Black Violin now for 3 years.
So
Yeah.
you're their go-to guy now.
Yeah, I've played probably over 300 shows with them, 300, 400 shows. Yeah. My second tour had 68 shows in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it went from 9 shows to 68 within a matter of months. It was wild.
Whoa. So when you're touring and you're playing that much, is it exciting every time, or are you like thinking about where you're going to eat for dinner while you're playing, or like how present are you, how like disassociated are you, like what's that experience like?
It's all of those things.
Okay.
It's never,
Okay.
I would say it's never one particular way. I
Mm.
mean, there's a whole day before the show happens. So luckily, I mean, we have like segments where it's always improvised, or there's a segment where I just create a new solo and before the song starts. So there are moments of where I don't know what's going to happen, but for the most part, it is monotonous for sure. But I mean, depending on the day, really, like I'm still human.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that like your experience of life isn't going to change depending on necessarily what you're doing. Like that makes sense to me when you're talking to me, but I think the
Yeah.
assumption would be like, oh, you're doing this thing. Like to the audience, they're like, oh my gosh, right? Because it's that one
Yeah,
experience that they
right.
have.
Right, facts.
But for you, it's your job.
Oh yeah, for me, I mean, it's a job, yeah, but I mean, it's also a job in my passion. Well, part of my passion, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's like it has its ups and downs, it's good and bad,
Mm-hmm.
But for every person, I remember that, that they've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So for them, it's always going to be, wow, this happened. And for me, I'm like, oh, I know this is going to be the experience for somebody else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some days where I am feeling down, and the music, it changes it changes my mood. And then there are days where I'm like, all right, what am I going to eat? Like, I might be playing 1,000 notes and just like, maybe I want a cheeseburger tonight after this show. Man, I hope we finish up early enough so I don't have to go to a fast food restaurant and I can get a really good cheeseburger, because I really love cheeseburgers, So it's like, all right, perfect, and then next thing you know, I'll be in the next song.
Right.
90 minutes,
Yeah.
just going.
That's when you know you're a real professional, when you can check out while you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful part of, putting in the hours, or, actually putting in intentional practice or developing a craft. Even at your lowest or even at your bare minimum, you're still one of the best.
Right.
I think that's one thing that my teacher really instilled in me, was being able to still sound good even when I feel like crap. So
how did they instill that in you?
she made me master the basic things, the simple things.
So she was like, drill it.
Yeah,
so
it was just drilled. It was literally drilled into me. Practicing, about 6 to 8 hours a day, becoming very, I want to say, very familiar with the instrument, the way the piano is, the insides and out of it, knowing how to make it sound when I do certain things, or being able to, oh, well, if my arms are tired, let me adjust this way. Like, I have so many different references and tools to use that allow me to be very fluent within the craft of piano.
And
Yeah.
when did you start playing
I started
piano?
playing piano when I was 12.
Okay.
It's crazy. I was sitting in the back of a church one day,
Okay.
and my mentor, Henry Porter, he literally called me up to the stage. It was crazy. Called me up to the stage and asked me, did I want to play organ? And I was like, I mean, I guess. The dude
Okay.
prayed for my hands. The next day, music made sense to me. And from the day I was 12 to now, I've been playing music. Because originally I wanted to be like a skateboarder. Like, I got scars. Like, I was literally, like, I was doing all extreme sports, snowboarding,
Huh.
skateboarding. That was me. Like, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. But at
Okay.
the age of 12, my life changed, and now you've met me over these times. I mean, he kind of seen what I do. So it's like the way that music kind of chose me, and like the source kind of chose me, it's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's super wild.
So in that moment when you're 12 and someone's praying over your hands, like what are you just like la la la, like what's going
I was a
on?
kid.
Right, you're
Like,
12.
I was chilling. Like,
And did you like give up skateboarding after that, or like what was the transition,
it was
you know?
there was a very big battle between it, because
Hmm.
music takes a lot.
Yeah.
Like, music takes a lot of it's very demanding. It's a very demanding relationship, because I feel like music is also parallel to life.
Hmm.
So the same lessons that I'm learning in life, I'm learning in music, and vice
Hmm.
versa.
How so?
I would say that there are times where you're aggravated and you don't know why you're aggravated, or you're trying to figure out
Hmm.
what the issue is. There's also that same there's also that same thing in music, to where you're trying to figure out how to play the scale, and the answer is just not coming, and you have to keep
Hmm.
doing it over and over and over again until you find the correct solution that allows you to get past that barrier.
Hmm.
And so you have those same barriers in life where you can be aggravated, where you're trying to constantly find a solution to make this problem not an issue.
Hmm.
And so you have to try different solutions and go over and over. Sometimes you get it. Sometimes you get 50% to the answer.
Hmm.
The next time you get to that test, you have 75%. The next thing you know, you're getting 80, 87. Then when you get to 87, then you get to like a 95. And then you're like, oh man. Then you try
Hmm.
that same thing, and then you change one other thing, and it brings you back down to a 70.
Hmm.
And so it's the same parallel.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that happens through music. Like, I remember being 12, and even though music was making sense, I wasn't as good as I am now at 28.
Right.
You
Thank
know,
God.
I literally have 16 years worth of just, trying things
Hmm.
that has gotten me to this point.
Hmm. That reminds me of, are you familiar with dialectical behavioral therapy?
Yes.
Have we talked about it before in
I
the
think
past?
I think the last time we were hanging out, I think we talked about it just a tad bit.
Okay, yeah. I'm
Like,
super into it, so I bring it up a
yeah,
lot.
I know. That's why I was like, I think you actually introduced it to me, and I was like, oh, really?
Yeah. So dialectical behavioral therapy is basically a modality that teaches you how to deal with the present with different emotional skills and tools. And it's been really amazing for me to frame what I do to cope with life as skills instead of like just something that I do, because then I can stand 10 toes down on it. Like, I'm being skillful right now,
Yeah.
not just like I'm just trying to get my way through life and I'm lost. Like, no, I'm doing this because it's effective. It works. There's like proven experiential
Yep.
tested things behind this, and I know if I do it, I'm making the right decision. So it's given me confidence in that sense of just like, no, I'm doing the right thing, I'm not guessing. So how you talk about music reminds me of this skill. It's just called build mastery. And I mean, and again, these skills, they're not mind-blowing in the sense that you've never thought of them before. We all know like what building mastery is.
Right.
But it's the journey of getting from not knowing something to like knowing the ins and outs of it, which I've seen you play. You know the piano. You guys are one. You and the
We're best
piano,
friends for
you're
sure. We're best friends.
besties.
Yeah,
You
we're
share
best
a
friends for
soul.
sure. Yeah.
And as someone who plays piano but doesn't know the piano like that, I'm like, oh, you get her. You know, you can anticipate her needs.
Yeah,
Like
for sure, for
you don't
sure.
know, I don't know her like that. I like her. I like her a lot. But um I think, and like you were saying, like it's parallel to life.
Yeah.
And one thing that I love about life in general is that almost anything that you can be an expert in, sports, exercise, creative arts, being a mom, building a business,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, all of it is like they're the same metaphor. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
every part of life is a reflection of another part of life. Like
for sure.
I feel like I could say the same thing about like learning how to lift weights or something,
Without a
you
doubt.
know? Like and I think that struggle of like, oh, I know something, like, oh my God, I don't know anything. Or like now I know 50% of it, I know 75% of it, that back and forth and like the non-linear nature
Yeah.
of reaching mastery is something that I feel like is good to anticipate and expect when people go on a journey of either just learning their craft, songwriting, music of any kind, but then also you have to apply those same principles to like building your life in music, which is a completely separate skill than being
Yeah,
talented. You
definitely.
can be talented, and then there's this whole other part of
Yeah,
it, you
definitely.
know?
And we can kind of talk on that too, but like if you think about it, the reason why you're saying that they all have like these similarities in their common is because they all have the same thing at the core. It's all
Which is
decisions. It's like everything has a decision, and
mm-hmm,
every decision has a cause and an effect.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So therefore, like when I'm playing in real time, I have to make decisions really fast.
Right,
So every year my decision making either gets worse or gets better depending on
right,
what happened in that year.
right.
So and it's crazy to like see the
Hmm.
evolution. Like maybe I could be even better at this point if some things in life didn't happen, but they did happen. So because of those causes, this is what's happening.
Hmm.
And I just decided to go with the more optimistic, driven, and pushing through method of actually being able to become present and deal with those things in life recently, to be able to get now to this point of being able to actualize and actually be able to do things and understand that this is the decision that I'm making, rather than allowing something else to happen to me.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I said music is definitely parallel to life,
Hmm.
because I have to decide if I want to play a major chord or a minor chord,
Hmm.
or I have to decide whether I'm going to go hang out with my friends or figure out the song I really like.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so and just so to get back to that whole thing of like at 12, like watching my life really change, it really did change because I mean, depending on what decisions I made as a kid, we're going to determine what I do now.
Isn't that wild?
It is very
Like,
wild.
what if you decided to go the skateboarding route? Like, you're 12, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like some sort of, when I hear that story, I'm like, to me, I'm like, that seems like some sort of like you did have a choice in it. And also, like, there was a push toward that, you know?
Yeah.
And like seeing how good you are now, it's kind of like, well, you know what I'm
Right?
saying?
It's
Like,
crazy.
hmm,
And the thing is like even at that age, being 12, I really loved skateboarding. But my love for music hasn't developed yet at that age. So
right.
it's like I'm going through this battle, from 12 to like 16 of like, okay, I know what I can do in music, but I also already had this passion for this
Hmm.
thing. Like when I was a kid, like let's say when I was like 6, I remember seeing the X Games for the first time,
Hmm.
and my parents just left it on by accident. And I saw the BMX part of it. Like, so they're like doing backflips in the dirt off of these bikes. So I'm a kid. I'm like, I don't have a bike right now, but what's in here that we don't use anymore that I can probably flip? And so I found my stroller.
No,
I found my
you
stroller. That
cannot.
was the decision I made. I found my
That was the
stroller,
decision I made.
and I decided to flip my stroller, and I literally busted my head open as a
Oh
kid.
my
But that's how
God.
but so it's like having those memories
Huh.
of like being able to be in extreme situations like that. I
Huh.
grew a love for it. Like I loved everything about extreme sports. But
Hmm.
I didn't know that I was gonna have to, somewhat sacrifice that love because there was a new love growing in another place that I was already chosen for. And it wasn't like, and it was like, it was given to me. It was like handed to me almost, you know? And so like to have that, you know, to go through that battle, like it showed me a lot of different things. Like skateboarding was so great because I loved how they put the skateboarding edits to specific songs. And so like seeing all these different, these different skating parts, all of these different skateboarders, they had different taste in music. So like some of my favorite skateboarders were like listening to some hip music and I'm like, dang, I really like this too. But then I was able to play like some of the songs. I was like, oh, this is cool. Why do I like this song? And so moving from piano, like I almost gave up piano because I fell in love with production. Because when I got grounded I forgot what I got grounded for, but I got grounded for something. So my mom's friend who worked at the church with her, who's now my mentor, EJ, Etienne Porter, he literally gave me my first audio interface when I was like 13, 14. And since I couldn't go do nothing outside, all I could do was learn how to like build this computer and literally create music on this computer thing. And so from 14 to 18, I fell in love with music production and making songs.
So that happened really young as well, not just piano, producing as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Honestly, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hearing your production, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So I had a very long relationship with that as well. So that's what I'm saying. Like music was so parallel to life to me because so many different things at specific ages were starting to like be introduced to me. You know? And so there were times where I had to focus on piano for years. And there were also times where I had to focus on production for years.
Right.
And then I had to sacrifice my love for piano to build my love in production.
But you had like that base, right? With piano, and then like you took a break from it.
I mean, it's weird because it's like I was playing by ear because I was playing in church, so I didn't have any formal training yet. So I was just developing how to play music by ear. Like I wasn't like I didn't train, like I didn't have any theoretical training until I got into college.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew no theory.
I knew no theory until I turned 19 when I was in community college. Yeah.
So did anyone teach you? Like who taught you when you were a kid?
The dude who prayed for me. Literally. He literally like he would make songs all the time. So as a kid, I would see this guy like making songs all of the time. Like I mean all of the time. So it's just like it was something I was used to seeing. Like being around music all day, it was just something that was normal in my surroundings. It's like even though I wasn't actively, you know, doing it, it was something that was actively around me. Creating was
modeled
a thing
for you.
Yeah, like it was normal. Like, but at the same time that I was looking at all of these, you know, creating things, I was also learning about I Think Therefore I Am by Rene Descartes, or watching The Merchant of Venice or Othello or something like this crazy, all these different things, just all of these different inspirations and things coming into my life at this age. Is just like I'm just getting so many ideas, so many different musical references, so many different just thought ideas and mindsets, and you know, being able to excel in critical thinking. Or there was just so many things that were happening once music got introduced into my life. It was it's wild. Like that's why I think my interpretation of it, or the way I love it so much, is very potent and very noticeable, is because of all of those things typically come up during the time where I'm playing music or creating music, because that's where my brain is most stimulated. Yeah.
It's giving like divinely ordained. You know what I'm saying?
I will definitely say music chose me and I did not choose music.
That's wild.
I will say that for sure. Because of that church, I hated music.
Really?
Like I couldn't stand it. So when I was a kid, that's what I'm saying. It's like it was so bad. It's like, what do you mean? I'm just like, it's cool to play this instrument, but I mean, I'm just gonna say yeah because you brought me up here in front of all these people. So it's like,
so
whatever.
Wait, in the middle of a service you were brought up?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
This thing is on tape.
Oh, you have it? The video of it?
The video is actually on tape. Like you'll see like a whole. It's crazy. Like when I tell you this whole story is like it's wild. Like because everything was recorded. So like that point in time it happened. I can go back and be like, wow, this moment literally changed my life.
That's wild.
Like, it literally changed my life.
Wait, can we get that clip, by the way?
I mean, probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get
That'd
it,
be
yeah.
sick if we could put it in.
Yeah, like, my mom has the whole catalog, so it's like
That's wild.
yeah, so that was I wanna say, like, the way I thought about life after that was definitely different, for sure.
After that moment?
Yeah, after that moment, it definitely changed some things, but I didn't realize how much it would have changed until later on in life.
Right.
So once again, that's what I'm saying, like, all the ups and downs of trying, like, or figuring out, oh, I'm at 50% today, or I'm at 80% today. Like, it was just trying different things to understand why this is my life.
And so when you're when was the like 6 to 8 hours a day? Like when did that start happening?
That didn't happen
Was
until
that
I got into college. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's when I started
That
getting all the
training.
theoretical training, because originally, like, I couldn't read music. Like, I wasn't really practicing my skills. I just had a natural talent. So I could play better than majority of the people who were auditioning for the school. I just couldn't read any of the things that I could play. So they decided to still bring me in and give me a full ride. And so I ended up going to school, getting a scholarship, like, proving myself that, look, I can be here. And then when they started teaching me all the things, you know, I was just catching on to things really fast, because I was just putting a name to what I already knew I could do, or what I've already heard, or what I've already played.
Right.
So
you're
it was
like,
really
I felt
easy.
this.
Yeah. So it's
now
easier.
this is how you're like recording it. This is how like it fits in the theory world.
So I can just effectively communicate what I'm doing now.
Right.
That's what school really did for me.
Right.
And then and because now I have a name to it and I can now use it at any point in time, now my brain is just like going. But it's so hilarious, because I remember being at State College of Florida in Bradenton, getting out of high school, not knowing what the heck I'm going to do. And so I had a decision, like, am I going to continue music in school or whatever it is? You know, I had some guidance, had some advice, and talked it out, figured it out with life. So I was like, all right, whatever. I don't really want to learn how to read music, but I guess this is what I'm really good at. So let me figure it out. Yeah. And I remember sitting there, they're like, all right, well, we're going to put this in front of you. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to read none of this. They're like, so what can you do? And then I just played. And then they were like, all right, well, we'll talk to you soon. And from there, then I ended up graduating there with honors, went to University of North Florida in Jacksonville, ended up like having one of the highest GPAs. Also went on tour in my sophomore year of school. Like, I literally missed a whole semester going to Shanghai to play at the Jazz at Lennon Center residency over there. And I came back and played all of the tests, all of the exams, all in one day. Passed them all with flying colors. It was hilarious. Like, I ended up getting like best student of the year like 3 times, and I'm the kid that's like smoking the blunt, you know, traveling the world. Like, you know, I got dreads in my head. You know, I'm in a frat. I'm literally just doing whatever. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so crazy how I ended up here. And like, getting this story as a life is hilarious. And there's so much life to learn. Like, and I'm still learning. I'm only 28 right now. And so it's crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. And now I'm in Los Angeles. Like, I'm from Sarasota, Florida, and I live in Los Angeles now.
How long have you been here now?
In August, it'll be 2 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I actually kind of forgot that it's not been that long.
Yeah, it's not been that long for me at all.
And how has it been?
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I'm with the best of the best. Producing music I love. Decided that I want to be an artist once I moved out here, because that definitely wasn't the plan. And I would say life is great. Like, I'm still learning, so I don't really have a place to be. And I think because of my past 2 years of just like growing and evolving, that, I mean, I'm just enjoying the journey regardless of whatever it brings. Being at my lowest, but also being at my happiest. So it's a give and take right now. I'm enjoying all of it.
Being at your lowest, meaning in what way?
So so how we were talking about pretty much just like how like touring can be it can really be like a thing that's like, oh, people are happy that you're going on tour and all this. But people never know that sometimes people can really get depressed on the road. Or people can, fall to the wayside, or people can really just struggle with life, but still have to make people happy.
Right.
So for me, like performing for a long time, like I'm used to making people happy, but I never learned how to make myself happy. So because of my sacrifice and love for music, I sacrificed learning who I was and learning what Liston likes, or what, like you said, like making that choice at such an early age. Who knew that it would take so much to understand both sides of life? And so even with the beautiful part of it and not with the beautiful part of it, how does this culminate? That's what I'm saying. Like I can enjoy the journey now because I understand what good is in the bad and what good is in the good.
Yeah. So with obviously just like skill wise and experience wise, since you were 12, everything we're talking about, like you have all of this that kind of just like flowed, almost was like forced upon you. Like it kind of just happened, it kind of just went. Do you feel like that same attitude in like the business side of it as well? Or like, or what is that part of it like cuz kind of like we were talking earlier, it's a totally different set of skills.
I would definitely say like the love for music is one thing that keeps me going in the actual industry of music. Because I mean, once again, the music is amazing. You can create it. Nobody ever has to hear you do it, and you can still be great at it.
Yep.
And that can be it, because it can just be a love, it's a passion, it's a thing. It could be a hobby, it could be a job, it could be whatever. And then there's also the side to where you have to be a business. And sometimes being a business sucks.
Yeah.
If you're a creative, sometimes it can really suck.
100%.
But at the same time, like for me, once again, after learning, especially these past 2 years of being in Los Angeles, like I had to decide, was I just going to thrive at music, or was I going to thrive at music and its business? And so therefore, when I decided that I wanted to be great at its music business too, I had to learn the things that come with it. And sometimes that comes with a lot of BS, and sometimes it comes with anxiety, sometimes it comes with depression, sometimes it comes with asking a whole lot of questions and never getting an answer. Sometimes it comes with just a waiting game. Sometimes it comes with somebody, like the decision happening with somebody else at somebody else's mercy. It's a lot, it's a lot to deal with. But I mean, I wouldn't trade it for nothing, because once again, I love music, but I also love the music business, because it's something that eventually, if I want to sustain off of my own creations, something I have to be a part of, because now I'm open for business.
Right.
I have to make whatever Liston is Liston. Like I have to be Liston at all times, or I have to like, just change things, but also it makes you figure out what you want to do. Like, what is your goal going to actually be? What is your focus actually going to be? How are we going to get there? You have to deal with every day knowing that some days you're going to work towards your business, and there are going to be some days that you're supposed to be working towards your business, but you literally have nothing to fight with for that day. So you kind of just take the blow of, I lost the war today.
Right.
And keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. We'll see what the consequences are tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because once again, you have those days. And I mean, it sucks, especially as a creative, because we're so emotional with it. But at the same time, it is what it is. Because we're not asking, like, if you're asking to be a part of the music business, you're asking for those certain requirements or certain standards.
Yeah.
Now, how you do it is how you portray it. Like for me, like it's become easy for me now. Like once I figured it out, like my business is I want to be me at all times. And I have to be okay with attracting only the people who like for me to be me. Like even from my first music video, I remember I was like, dang, I'm gonna get a really nice haircut. And that's what it's gonna be. And then I was like, yeah, that's not me. You're gonna see me scruffy. And if you like me scruffy, then you will love me with a haircut. It's great, but I don't care. Like I prefer to be scruffy, because that's what I'm gonna be majority of the time.
Right.
Like I'm probably gonna get right off of a tour bus, jump right on stage, go play my own show, and I'm not gonna have time to get a haircut.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Yes.
Like it is what it is. Like I think recently I was talking about, like, man, like I'm finding ways to love my imperfections. Like I'm finding like I love my imperfections now,
Mm,
because not only are they imperfect and I don't have to strive to be perfect,
mm,
but it's also everything about me that I love, because that's what makes me different.
mm,
And now I'm thriving because I'm different.
mm. Yeah.
It may not be to millions of people yet, but I mean, even where I am now, I mean, people like my imperfections. So I found a way to be imperfect and
Right.
lean into it.
I love everything you're saying. Actually, on my way here, I was listening to this woman talk about how people are different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in your life is like one of three colors.
Mm.
I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you have green people,
Okay.
and green people are the people who basically match your greenness. So you
Mm.
have the opportunity to, the more authentic you are, the greener you are. And so you can hide your greenness to like fit into someone else's color or whatever, like you can manipulate your shape, but the more authentically green you are, you'll find and attract all the other people who are green
Mm.
and who are going to be you, and you'll all be this like beautiful green meadow together. And then there are people who are orange who you need. Like you need orange people in the world, and
Mm.
they might be green to other people, but to you they're orange. And they're the people who are like, his hair is kind of scruffy, or like, oh, I don't really fuck with that, or just like
Mm-hmm.
people who just aren't on your vibe and you're probably
Right.
not on their vibe either, you know? Like it's just that's just how it is. And but just being able to identify like, oh, you're orange, but you're
Mm.
never going to know if somebody's orange if you don't even know what your green looks like, you know? Like that's a part of the process. And then there are people who are just yellow, who are like against you in some way, and you just need
Mm.
to just snip those people
Snip.
out or just completely ignore them or whatever, just like, yeah, no. And nobody is bad or good, it's just those are the colors that they are, and I get to include you in my green meadow, or
Mm-hmm.
you're making it yellow, like goodbye,
Yep.
you know? And so I think embracing that, even I love that your example of that was like a haircut,
Yeah.
because I think that there are these like big concepts like embrace your imperfections and like be
Mm-hmm.
authentic. It's like, well, how do you do that?
Right.
It's down to the littlest stuff.
Small
Like,
things.
this is who I am, so I'm gonna embrace this. And then when you practice that, that's like lifting a 5-pound weight.
Yep.
And then the next thing, I don't know what the example would be, but like a maybe harder imperfection to embrace. Like maybe you have anger issues, or like just
Mm.
something more maybe um abrasive, or something that has like worse consequences or something.
I would say mine would be sharing the process with other people, bringing people into the world that I'm controlling,
Hmm.
allowing myself to give somebody else control
Mm.
in the world that I am creating.
In like the music sense.
I mean, there I have some trusted ears in my personal sense and also in my music sense.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, like I said, because they're both parallel, the decision comes up in both of them.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for me to share my artistry because there's some things that,
Mm.
I'm like very particular about. But I don't give a chance. I don't give anybody else a chance sometimes. So that was something I had to
Mm.
learn. I was like, I'm like, am I gonna live with this? And so that's something I'm learning now. Like in this present time,
Mm.
is learning how to delegate tasks for things that I can't do, especially now because I'm growing as a business. I have to delegate something.
Right.
I can't do everything. If 35 people are calling me to make a song for them, I can't respond to all 35 people, work on all 35 songs. I can't do everything.
Right.
Like I had to learn how to delegate and find other people in that. So I found people in my green meadow.
Mm.
But also the same thing in life. Like you said, like the green people are people who do help you better, who do help you get better. And so I have people who can tell me the honest truth. I have people who can be like, "Hey, you're being an asshole today," or "You were very mean today," or like, "Hey, like don't talk like this to people," or like it'll make you seem like this. And I have to listen to people
Mm.
that I actually like, okay, like I can see how you live your life. And because
Right.
of the decisions that you make in your life, I can understand that I can listen to you.
Right.
And so that's the same thing in music.
Yes.
And then when it comes to the orange people, the people that you need, I mean, especially in the music business, like please talk bad. you're gonna break the algorithm for me. I would love for somebody to find something that they don't like about me. Let's have a conversation about it.
Right. Yeah.
It's cool. Like I'm really interested to see like why you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And do I care that you don't like it? Probably not, but I'm very curious because I mean, maybe that might be the answer to what helps me better it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I think another discovery I made in life is being able to, disagree, agree to disagree,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
literally, and still let you allow you to be the person that you are. It's just, even though we may not agree on this thing or this topic or how I do this, that doesn't mean I don't like you.
Right. Right.
I appreciate it. We just don't see eye to eye on that.
Right.
And then the people who just really just don't like you, the yellow people, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
Right.
because of this day and age, we feel like we have to be connected to everybody and talk to everybody or have everybody like us because we're trying to strive for numbers or we're trying to do whatever. It doesn't, in the grand scheme of life, it doesn't actually matter.
Mm.
And I'm glad that it doesn't matter because then it allows me to create what I want to create even more.
Right.
Because I'm not worried if you hate it or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you hate it, you hate it. It is what
Fire.
it is.
Love that for you.
Like it's so beautiful. Like I think that's the reason why I'm loving life, or why I'm so like hopeful for the future, is because of the new discovery that I've made with knowing that it's not going to be okay sometimes.
Yeah.
Everything's not going to be put together.
Mm.
This crowd may not like you tonight.
Mm-hmm.
This crowd is going to love you tonight. Or knowing that and just being okay with it and knowing how to deal with it makes it so much easier for me to be me.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
makes it so much easier. It makes it even more exciting because now it's something I actually want to do.
Right. Yeah, I hear like a lot of just like acceptance
Yeah.
in what you're talking about, and I think sometimes people think that acceptance means approval, like I approve of what's going on, but it doesn't. And in fact, acceptance will help us move through something that we don't want, or maybe change something. But if you don't accept it, you'll just be stuck there.
Right.
So people think if I accept it, then I'm going to be here forever. But it's the exact opposite. Once you get it, once you're like, oh, you're yellow. Oh, you're orange. Like, oh, this is the situation. Cool. Like it's being there in that present moment. And it's hard. It's hard to do sometimes for some people.
That's why I said that core situation of, making decisions is very crucial for me. Like I said, I learned how to make decisions very fast in music. I know what a good decision is in this real time, and I know what a bad decision is. Like, I'm not going to play nothing but minor chords, dark chords over a happy song. It wouldn't make sense. That would be a bad decision.
Right.
So now I'm learning how to take that same analogy and add it to my life of how do I make these decisions quicker to make the least amount of issues happen that could potentially happen. How do I avoid this? Like, how do I make decisions quicker, but also be able to have like productive decisions or decisions that are going to actually change the course of my life? Like, and that decision has to be like, I have to determine when I meet somebody, within 5 seconds, I need to know, do I have time to add this person to my life?
Within 5 seconds?
Well, so I mean, the initial conversation, the reason why the initial conversation is so important is because you have to decide if you're going to actually add another human into your life story. And so, so based off of like, let's say 5 seconds to 2 minutes, it's just like, I can understand if this is necessary. I may not know where to place you, but I understand, like, is this somebody that I automatically want in my life?
Right.
And it's not even to close them off, because I'm pretty sure whenever it naturally happens, it will naturally happen. But to effectively try and meet new people, especially in the day and age where you can meet 40,000 people in one day, they all know you and you never know them. You have to, I want to be able to make quicker decisions and being able to decipher between that, because at the rate that I'm going and with what I'm doing, I can't share myself with everybody.
Right.
I mean, I can't have 1,000 personal stories going on at the same time.
Right.
Like, I just mentally don't have the capacity for that as myself, as a person. There may be somebody who can. Like, I probably thought at one point I could, but I was very terrible at it.
Right.
And so therefore it allowed relationships to die prematurely because I couldn't grow with that relationship at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like used to, like I still have like a family relationship, a family dynamic I got to deal with, you know, whatever socially I'm dealing with. Like I have so many different relational aspects that I have to prioritize that.
Mhm.
And then you have to also put it into like, how important is that with my passion?
Mhm.
Like, is it a part of what I'm willing to die for? Like, what am I going to be mad about when I'm no longer here?
Mhm.
Like, what will I regret for eternity?
Mhm.
And so I decided that I would never regret anything. Like when I die, I'm going to die empty.
Mhm.
Like I'm
Mhm.
going to be quiet as a bug. Like what I'm curious about, I'll find out about.
Mhm. Mhm.
If it's meant for me, it will be meant for me, you
Mhm.
know? And once again, like even with the whole thing of music choosing me, like even though music chose me and I didn't choose it, it we came to a compromise.
Right.
You know, we came to a compromise. And so therefore, because I was learning how to resolve issues within myself and music, it was able to help me start resolving issues within the things that I cared about in life at the same time.
Mhm.
Because when I realized that they were two different worlds that I wanted to now coexist, I had to realize that those problems were also parallel to each other.
Right. Yeah. What you were saying about, like, just basically having a limited amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
energy, like, and then like, how do you, choose between whether someone's going to be in your life or not? I feel like once you have, I think, like, clarity and
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you're going after and knowing who you are, and also being authentic, being okay with your imperfections,
Right.
like, that is the base that I feel like can guide all of those decisions, even just like more organically or naturally. Like you just feel the vibes and you're like, are you a part of this thing that I've got going on? Are you going to be an addition to this ecosystem or no?
Yeah.
You know? And there probably will be people who are like, oh, I like what you have going on. I'm trying to like sneak in there. And you're just like, but you add nothing to me. Like
Right.
you're only taking from me or whatever. Like, but I think, yeah, when you have that clarity, at least for me, I feel like when the closer I am to being clear about what I want, the faster the yeses and the nos happen. You
Without
know
a
what I'm
doubt.
saying?
Without a doubt. I would say that because it's easier to deal with, it's easier to say yes to something when you love it,
Right.
you know?
And it's easier to say no when you know.
Yeah.
Right?
It because you understand what will happen with it.
Right.
It's like it's really easy. Like I remember when I hated the gym at one point,
Mm,
but I also remember the time where I loved it because I saw the results. So something that I hated became something that I loved
right.
because I knew what it does for me.
Yeah.
And I also know what else happens. Like I'm less stressed when I work out, or like I'm not breathing hard, or I can go wherever. Or I don't have to worry about what my career is going to look like. I'm not going to be breathing heavy between every song because I know I can run 3 miles. I know that I can do all such and such and such because I know what the cause is now. It's easier for me to do that, you know.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
so the same thing with people is like, why are we in each other's lives?
Mm,
Like, do we exist just to exist?
right.
Are we just a temporary conversation? Are we a temporary bridge that might fall? Are we like, is there going to be a full circle moment at some point? Can we not talk for 5 years, come back and be better? Like, what are we on the same on the same wavelength? Like, what is it? And
Mm,
so you start to realize when you add more people who are on the same frequency as you, or like they don't even have to be in the same career field as you,
right.
but just on the same frequency. Like I'm
Yes.
around people who are either very surpassed where I am, or I'm trying to get where they're going and do more, or like people who can actually apply pressure to what I have to do
Mm,
so that I can maintain and become better and continue to grow.
mm-hmm.
Or am I going to be around people who would rather praise me and, not grow at all and become stagnant?
Yeah. So all those things that you were just saying, are those kind of like the criteria? Like, are
Uh,
you on the same wavelength? Are you on the same frequency? Are you pushing me forward?
yeah, I think my criteria kind of has diminished itself a little bit just because I allow things to be now.
Mm,
So therefore the criteria doesn't
mm,
matter because if I allow things to be, I'll treat them as so.
mm.
If it develops, it's because it decided to develop.
Right. How did you like? I feel like I totally 1000% agree. And I think that that attitude of just kind of just surrendering, just being like, listen, if we're going to be friends, we're going to be like, I think that some people might see that attitude as like nonchalant or not engaged or like not
Right.
present. But I actually think that it's completely the opposite.
It is the opposite.
It's that acceptance piece that like,
Mm-hmm.
and also just as an example, your life of like the surrender and the flow, like that's given you the results that you have at the age that you are. Like you're not like 45 or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Right.
but you've so somebody might not be able to imitate being called up to the stage when they're 12 years old and having an organist pray over their
Yeah.
hands and then practice. Like no one's going to be able to follow your exact life path because it's
Right.
unique to you and only you. But what somebody could imitate if they want to feel a similar way and have similar opportunities wherever they may be in their own life is to imitate like the way in which you do something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which it sounds like you're saying a lot of it is like, I don't even have these rigid criteria. I don't even I'm just like, are we talking? Are we not talking? It is what it is. Like, da 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 da. Like, you just kind of, you let it go. And that's something that someone could follow and imitate,
Definitely.
you know?
Like I told you, it's like I'm always gonna go back to this. It's the base thing of my life. Like I don't want to have a complex life.
Mm.
I've decided
Mm.
to be at peace with myself. I do not want to have a complex life.
Mm.
So because of that, I had to go down and unlearn like things that I was trained, that were things that were embedded into my head or what, so I could start making decisions. So I started making decisions with things all the way starting from my family to my religion, to my relationship status, to my friendship status, to even my relationship with music. Because if I would have never but I had to go all the way back and start making these decisions. What am I going to allow to be the end result of my life?
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, because I've dealt with all of those things, it has made my life so much more simple. Because I'm like, okay, these are the things that I know I'm going to go for. These are the things I really don't want to do. Like, I don't ever want, I think I'm doing somebody else, like, you know, a good service by letting them know, like, she's like, if I'm not into it, like, don't allow me to waste your time because I'm not into it. I feel like there's somebody who deserves to hear this, or there's somebody that's for that.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe that. So it's just like, even though it may not be my preference, I'm able to, you know, be like, oh, this is just not the conversation for me.
Right.
Oh, this is just not the relationship for me.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the song I just shouldn't do. Or this isn't the beat I shouldn't do. Or this isn't the place I should go. Like,
Yeah.
it all got back to the base of just making a decision.
And that process of going back, like, what was that process like of like reevaluating all of the different relationships to various things?
It was crazy. So there was a point in time where I woke up out of bed and I didn't even recognize who I was. And it was really tough because I had made a whole lot of decisions that got me to that place. I'm talking about, I'm still in the height of my career touring. I'm like, not even the height of, what am I talking about? Not no height of my career. I'm just getting started. But
you felt like that at the
but
time.
like, it was just like all these great things are happening.
Yeah.
I'm playing all over the world. I'm touring constantly. Like, you know, like I haven't really done any production, like, because I didn't give up on production, but like I just kind of took a break from it because I wanted to focus on just becoming a performer. And so I ended up like falling into this depression, like I was telling you about. So I ended up seeking therapy. And because I was so willing to be honest in my first like day of therapy, the therapist didn't even have to like go through like the basic things of just trying to get me to unlock. I was like, dude,
you're like this.
I've been waiting to talk to somebody who don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to make sure I'm not crazy because I feel like everything I'm doing is based off an opinion or something that I was taught that's making me go crazy because it's something I naturally do not want to do.
Yeah.
And so because I went through all of that discovery with my therapist, now I had to take a break from my therapist because we were just unlocking way too much. Like I was like, there's no way I'm gonna figure all this out in a year.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, let me start with these practices.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, so the reason why this situation happened here is because I'm still dealing with things that are happening from that has nothing to do with this person. It's just what they're adding on to this. It's just causing it to overload. So I'm going into sensory overload. So like I was in a relationship because my relationship ended so terribly because I was out of overload. It had nothing to do with the person. The relationship was the most amazing thing in the world.
Right.
Like literally, it's still like you have somebody that literally would go like head over heels for you. Like literally just like insanely love. I had somebody who loved me for me regardless of whatever, however, but that wasn't good enough because it had nothing to do with the person.
Hold on, we need to pause right now, and I want to look directly at the camera. Just, for any ladies specifically. See, you could give a man everything. You could love him unconditionally, but it's not, and it's not about that woman, right?
Yeah.
About the girl. It's not about her being enough, her being beautiful enough, or talented, or da 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 da. Because I think specifically with women, they think like, oh, like what could I have done? I don't get it. But you're saying, and I think it goes the opposite way as well,
Right.
but I just feel like this dynamic happens a lot. You could give someone the whole world and you could be the best person, the most beautiful person, and it has nothing to do with you if it doesn't work
Nothing
out.
at all.
It doesn't.
And then what's sad is that even though it has nothing to do with you, the person who's probably treating you that way has no clue that it has nothing to do with you at all.
Yeah.
Which is sad because, I mean, like I would say for me, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but for me, I would say for me, I didn't realize that I could really express my feelings. And not only my feelings, but my opinions. Because growing up Christian, you don't really question your faith.
You just accept it.
You just accept it.
Yeah.
So you're never allowed to question. So everything is based off of a specific standard. But what sometimes you don't realize is that same type of habit and thinking also happens with your life too. So you don't question certain things. And so because you don't want this to happen, you keep your opinion to yourself, or you keep this feeling to yourself. And so for me, I had to deal with the fact that I knew that there was somebody who loved me so much. And I had to come to the fact, I'm like, wow, like if we stay in this current status right here, if we stay in this current status, that means I'll have to pretend to be like this for the rest of my life just so to make sure that you never get hurt.
Yeah.
Because you love me that much.
Right.
Or I could end this, really be honest with myself and how I feel and what my opinion is and what I think about it, and be at peace and go from there and deal with whatever the consequences are.
Right.
And so there are a lot of people who deal with that dynamic. They either have to keep up with the standard or do whatever it is so that the life that they know or that they're afraid to lose will stay. But they'll deal with the subconscious depression. They'll deal with the subconscious loop of never being able to escape or feeling like this is what life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or they can deal with it and, meet it face on, which is scary, dealing with that type of honesty. Like nobody wants to admit that they made a mistake. Nobody wants to admit that they failed. Nobody wants to admit that something bad happened.
Right.
But it's the check and balances. It's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. It's inevitable. It's life. It's inevitable. Like it's crazy. Like it is what it is. But you have to decide. And I just decided that I was going to be at peace with myself. And that allowed me to become a whole nother person that allowed me to excel. And because of that honesty and being able to reach that, now me and that person can have a great relationship and still be able to further ourselves as people and humans and actually still be able to talk and still have conversation because not only am I fully myself and not only am I constantly like discovering who I am, like I'm also able to be 100% me, the person that you were asking me to be in the first place.
Right.
But now you have to decide whether you want to accept to be in that place in my life.
Right. Yeah.
And so dealing with that, a lot of people aren't ready for that. A lot of people are scared of that. A lot of people are scared of what their friends may think. And so if they become this way, that means they'll lose those friends. That means they're not your friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, you had a beautiful season with them and it's cool. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. Remember that. But just remember, like, you still have to evolve. You're changing every day. What you may like yesterday may not be what you like tomorrow. It's a sad reality, but the thing about having that reality in itself is it allows you to choose the things that will make you happy.
Yeah.
But even the things that will make you happy will still piss you off.
That's true.
Like,
That's a
I love
bar.
making music. I love traveling around the world. But I miss my bed sometimes.
Right.
You know? Or I miss or all the
Yeah.
graduations I missed, or all of my friends' baby showers, or all of my nieces and nephews' graduations and birthday parties or soccer games.
Mm.
Like, I just went home for the first time in a year and a half. This was my first time going home.
Mm.
And so, like, but that comes with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I wish it could be like a little bit different.
Yeah.
And people could say that you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual demand of my life and where I'm at right now, I know what I'm doing is not only just for me, but it's also for them. So even though somebody may feel some type of way, I know what the actual result will be.
Right.
Like, I want my nephew to have a laboratory that he can build his robots in.
Right.
I want my nephew to have a private jet that he can fly because he wants to fly planes, but he wants to do it for the Air Force. I was like, well, I don't want you to get shot at. So what I'm doing and what I'm sacrificing my time for now is so that you can just fly me.
Yeah.
And then we don't got to get shot at,
Right.
you know? It's things like that. Like that.
Right.
So it's like all of those decisions, sadly, men are not able to come to that grip of reality and honesty, because it's not that they're not allowed. It's just you're not told that you can do that.
Right.
You're not.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. But for me, like, since I've gotten there, like with this whole acceptance and being able to really be who I am, I found out who are for me. Like, my friends know, like, we may not hear from Liston for three months, but we know he's still good. Like, and when he called, boom, boom, boom. It's like he's never left.
Yeah.
Like it's like that, because once again, I would rather have that and have something to show you that, hey, man, I really been working on this, blah, 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 instead of talking to you every week and nothing's ever changing.
The thing I hear in what you're saying that people could imitate is really whatever stage in life that you're at, there's going to be like the shit sandwich part of it. Like, there's going to be a part of it that you don't like any relationship with a person. Like, we all know that there's going to be things that we're like, I don't love that about you. But every part of your life is going to have that, no matter if when you reach your goal that you're going to get to, there's going to be that experience of life where you're like, I'm missing out on my friends, da 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 da. So the faster that you can learn and deal with the hard part of your life, and also recognize the good parts of it too. Like, maybe you're broke, but you have a lot of time, or maybe, you have a lot of money, and that's like great because everyone thinks that's amazing, but no one knows you and you have no real friendships, right? Like, there's always something. So whatever your something is, just accepting that that's a part of it, and that you're just going to be trading different somethings for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life.
And yes, your life improves and you get better, and that's the journey of life. That's what we're all here for.
The more money, the more problems still.
More money, more problems. For
Real,
sure.
like, seriously, like, the more relationships, the more things that are at hand now.
Yep.
Like, what are you fostering? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah.
Like, how do we excel? What is it?
Yeah.
How do we get better? Is this better for me? Like, that's what it is. It's like life is gonna have that. It is.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it's important for us to just hear that from, people that, would admire what you've done and accomplished in your life, and like that it's not so different than other people's experiences. Like, yes, you're having different actual experiences, but your felt experience of it is the same as anyone doing anything.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good to know that. But yeah, so just, I guess, last question is there, like, I know you have this attitude of like surrender and stuff. Is there anything that you are like looking forward to or trying to like bring into existence, either in your career or in your personal life?
What I'm looking forward to, honestly, is just my final evolution. Honestly, I keep surprising myself right now because I'm in the acceptance period. And because now I've accepted things, I no longer have I don't have a lot of energy trying to discover what I'm accepting. I now have energy. I have more energy to put it into things that I actually care about. Like, I literally remember, like, there was a part where I swore I was not going to be an artist.
Okay.
Because I knew I didn't want to do this whole entire thing. I was like, yeah, not really my vibe. Too much work. Don't really care for people to like whatever I want to do. Let me just be a producer and call it a day. But it's just who I naturally am. I guess people think I'm an artist. And like the more and more that I would suppress that, the more and more people would say it. I'm like, all right, so let me try this. And then when I started to develop it, you know, I got through like kind of like the beginning stages of it. I'm like, oh, I can do whatever I want as an artist. Like I don't have to wait for somebody else. I was like, oh, this is it makes sense.
Right.
It's like it makes sense for me. So now I'm in this period of where I'm just excited, you know, to tour the world doing my own stuff, you know, soon hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm just creating music, honestly. And I'm just allowing all of these different opportunities. Like I got my music in movies already
What?
that are coming out. It's
Oh
crazy.
my God, fire.
I got stuff like that. Like I'm producing with other artists. Like everything is just, I can't complain right now. It's just like, I'm just looking forward to see what happens.
Right.
I really don't have a cap for it anymore. Like I think my only base that I'm really looking forward to is just knowing that I'll be able to survive off of my own art and not because I have to work for somebody else, but because I can work for myself.
Sure.
That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And everything else is just a plus with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Super exciting. I loved seeing you perform, you know, got that Scorpio energy.
Of course, you know
Love
it.
that.
You know it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on, having
Of
this
course.
conversation.
I was so happy. I was like, oh, it's like she would have a conversation with me. I was like, let's go. It's like, let's do it.
Amazing. And where can we find your music? Or where can we find you?
Everywhere. My name is Liston, Liston. You can follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, wherever at Liston, Liston.
Love. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to Traklife Music on YouTube, and you can follow Pearls of Wisdom podcast on Spotify and on Instagram.